To be subjected to 5 to 6 police checkpoints. I'm going to try to show you a picture now of the swarms of people that are coming into the area. Many workers wearing face masks because the smell is strong. Let's look at this picture of the NASDAQ site here. I am told at 9:15 there will be a moment of silence honored there at its work site in a show of solidarity for those who have lost their lives and those who are fighting to save lives. And we will join Lou Dobbs on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange right at 9:30 as the opening bells ring. And joining us throughout the morning to give us as many perspectives as we can find, John King, who will be following the developments around the White House and on Capitol Hill. He joins us from Washington this morning. Bill Hemmer, who will join us from outside the New York Stock Exchange, who will continue to talk to these workers who are finding a new reality when they show up for work this morning, and Miles O'Brien, of course, who will have the very latest on the investigation. And that's exactly where we're going to start this hour with Miles to bring us up to date on the very broad investigation underway right now. Hi, Miles.
Thanks very much, Paula. Good morning to you. Here are the latest developments in America's new war. Pakistani officials presented a U.S. demand to the Taliban government in Afghanistan today. The demand: turn over Osama bin Laden or face an attack from the U.S. The Federal Reserve, in anticipation of the opening of the markets, announced a 0.5% interest rate cut. 2 new arrest warrants have been issued for material witnesses in connection with last week's terrorist attacks. 2 others are being held as material witnesses. A UN agency says an already catastrophic humanitarian crisis is becoming worse as refugees leave Afghanistan in anticipation of a possible U.S. attack. And the skies are busy over the U.S. The FAA says as of 7 a.m. Eastern, there were more than 2,000 jetliners in the skies. During peak times, on an average day, there are between 4,500 and 5,000 flights in the skies at any given moment. Back to you, Paula.
All right, thanks so much, Miles. We head straight down to the New York Stock Exchange. A lot of news made this morning. Americans can look forward to a 0.5% rate cut. Lou, what do you think the impact of that rate cut will be?
I think the impact, while helpful, Paula, will not determine certainly the direction of this market. It does improve the environment, an environment that can stand, of course, all of the help that it can possibly receive. But that 50 basis point cut, that half-point cut, is just not going to be significant in terms of what happens here, at least in the early hours of trading. We're starting to see some indication of selling pressure that we'll be facing these men around the trading post when we open in just about 27 minutes. We're getting some strong indications of selling on the ADRs for U.S. stocks that are traded here overseas. We are in Instinet trading. We see Microsoft, Intel, Oracle, Cisco, all of those stocks in early Instinet trading are off 6%. Now, again, that's not a particularly liquid market, but it is an indication. Perhaps it won't be that severe, but certainly there is an indication. And we know, because of the nature of this terrorist attack, that the airline industry and the fact that it has been curtailed in the last 6 days, we knew that it would be under pressure, and indeed it is. On the Instinet trading desk, those stocks are down significantly. In the case of SkyWest and Frontier, 2 small air carriers, their shares off more than 20% in early indications. So that 50 basis point rate cut has a lot of work to do to influence the outcome here.
There is a lot of debate over a congressional or potential congressional bailout of the airline industry. Lou, how much trouble is the American airline industry in today?
Well, it's in significant trouble. Airports closed, as you know. Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. is closed. Continental, Delta, both have curtailed their schedules by 20%. We're expecting, obviously, more layoffs. Continental announcing the layoffs last week of some 13,000 employees. They're in difficult trouble. They have about 1 month's cash on hand. So there will be some assistance required by the federal government, and indeed the Congress. The House of Representatives is already working very hard to put together an appropriate package, whether that takes the form of a classic bailout or an extension of guarantees or loans. We don't know, but it will be there and it will be significant.
All right. If you look at the front page of the New York or the Wall Street Journal, which I know you did today, economists are saying that a recession may be unavoidable. But earlier this morning, you were touching on consumer confidence levels. Do you expect consumer spending to freeze?
Consumer spending certainly won't freeze, but it has obviously been affected by the reduction in air travel last week, the fact that people could not open their businesses and buy products here on the lower part of Manhattan. That's a small part of the larger macrocosm that is the economy. But at the same time, we saw in the most recent CNN Gallup poll, President Bush's approval ratings have never been higher. The American people are obviously united in what the president has called what he has called a new war, a war against international terrorism. So we can't make these judgments too early. There are a lot of positive indications, but we also, in this free market democracy, have a lot to work through. That's going to begin at 9:30 here, Paula, as we watch these stocks begin trading for the first time in less than a week.
Well, we're going to join you for that moment, and we're also going to join you when a moment of silence follows that opening bell. Thanks, Lou, for that update. I was actually struck by a trader behind you who appeared to be holding an American flag in his crossed arms. Right now, I want to show you a little bit of what I saw yesterday. I was able to get into the area of Ground Zero, an area where journalists have not been able to get into. I pardon you for the quality of these pictures. I was not allowed to shoot any video, but this represents as close to anybody has gotten of what is going on in the rescue effort. You can just get an idea of the sheer force of the blast that came through here. It is so eerie to see a partial structure, a building like that stand. I don't know how else to describe it. It is shocking when you see it. This is an adjoining building to the east of where the World Trade Centers once stood. Someone able to get a flag up there. You look at all these adjoining buildings, one financial plaza here, a lot of windows blown out, 100 buildings in the surrounding area, either damaged or in some way structurally degraded. This is what I was struck by, how instructions were spray painted on the walls of buildings. This is an aid station. Here you see what we call graffiti, where rescue workers have put messages like this on the walls. Be safe. Very poignant messages. You are loved. You are missed. And we saw dozens of windows. Now, this is interesting. Look, the New York Fire Department Buildings unit was here. You know, never say die. I never thought hate could do this. God bless you all. Many tears will fall, but we will continue. It makes us stronger. It says, to who we are. I'm proud to be here as part of this team. More messages here from the Montauk Fire Department, all written in the ash, which still is caked onto the windows. Personal messages here, but in addition to that, we also saw fire workers and iron workers marking where they had been. This is Local Union 361. This is the front door of the HSBC Bank. We will overcome. A lot of the lobbies of these buildings being used for triage to store supplies for the rescue workers. This is the outside of the HSBC Bank, once again marking where you could go to get first aid help. You could see how quickly people were pressed into action. God bless America, and you see things like that once again scribbled into the cake of ash that still covers many, many windows in New York. Let's right now go back to Bill Hemmer, who continues to stand by on duty outside the New York Stock Exchange. You've had a chance to discuss what the work life is going to be like for many of the 75,000 workers who have converged on this area. What else are they telling you, Bill?
Yeah, Paula, good morning once again. I tell you, this is an absolutely remarkable sight. This part of New York, or any part of New York, has never seen a scene like this before. Joe, if you could, go ahead and push past me a second. I want to show our viewers further up Broad Street here what's taking place right now. Pardon my back here as I turn. The New York Stock Exchange, the front facade is on the left up the street. What we're seeing here, construction workers using backhoes to help lay additional cable line and fiber optic equipment. Police are everywhere, sirens rotating across on the top of a number of vans and police cars. Security extremely tight. National Guard is here, state and local police as well. And if we can go up just a little further, things are starting to clear somewhat because we're only, I guess, about 20 minutes away from the opening bell. But this scene that you're watching right now is just, it really takes you back. In the history of Wall Street, one has never seen anything like we're watching today. More security personnel coming through up the street here again. If we could show our viewers a higher angle, I believe we have a camera positioned well above the New York Stock Exchange that shows the front facade of the New York Stock Exchange with that giant flag that's been exposed, and again, a symbol again of the financial strength in this company, and what Richard Grasso, the chairman, has said. His intention is to show that indeed the stock exchange is safe and secure and strong once again. The other thing you pick up, Paula, as you watch this particular angle, the air again is full of smoke throughout the day here. We're watching the smoke and the steam drift our way. It appears it's drifting eastward at this time, and people walking throughout the street here with masks and other articles of clothing held up to their mouth, trying to keep that smoke out of their lungs. We've just been told that the governor, the New York governor, George Pataki, has arrived. He, along with New York's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, will help participate today in the ringing of the opening bell above the trading floor. Also, the Treasury Secretary, Paul O'Neill, arrived hours ago, about 6 a.m. Local time today. Also, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton is on hand today. We are seeing a number of people come out, and for those who are looking for strength and security in the markets, indeed, the people who have showed up here today, are trying to display again their confidence in what we're seeing. I mentioned security. It's extremely tight. There are brokers and traders and employees of the New York Stock Exchange that normally they tell us they can pass through security in about 10 or 15 seconds, but today they're stacked up hundreds in line, getting bags checked, going through x-ray machines and waiting to get to work. Also, a worker just came up to me here and informed me if people are watching, trying to get to work today, they're saying when they get off the subway system here, they're checking IDs very carefully. They say if you want to pass and get through, bring your company ID. They're indicating that that is the best way of having success they're getting here. And we talked about the emotion. So much emotion here in this part of New York City, the financial district. Many of the people who were working here last Tuesday, new people, friends and family members in the World Trade Center, and it cannot be underscored enough how much emotion they must be feeling at this point. We talked to a number of people thus far today who say in many ways it's just good to be back, to see friends and colleagues again, but others say that the smoke in the air reminds them of last Tuesday. One person even saying that it smelled like death. About 15 minutes away from the open. We'll watch it from down here on Broad Street, right near the New York Stock Exchange. Paula?
I'm surprised to see your eyes look as clear as they look this morning. I know when I got out of there yesterday, my eyes were stinging, and
wow.
I had to wear a mask in the area that I went into. You feel it, don't you?
Yeah, indeed you do, and you can smell it too, and it does get in your eyes, and that's a good reason why so many masks have been passed out. And as I look down the street again, people continue to stream up, Paula, and so many watching their mouths and making sure their lungs are indeed are A-OK. We'll watch it again. Back here shortly.
All right, thanks so much, Bill. We're going to go back to the NASDAQ worksite where we are just about 2 minutes away from a moment of silence, honoring those who have fallen, those that continue to fight to save lives downtown. In a very interesting note, the head of NASDAQ, after that moment of silence, will actually be headed for the New York Stock Exchange in a show of solidarity. These two exchanges are quite competitive, what one might say in an understatement, and that is seen as a very powerful signal to the folks that work down there of a strong show of unity. Let's check in with Greg Clarkin right now, who follows NASDAQ matters. Now, these tech stocks were in a state of flux and volatility before this. Greg, what are you hearing about what confronts traders there today?
Well, Paula, right now things look like to be a very jittery marketplace. What's called the pre-open trading period has been going on for about 45 minutes. That's where some NASDAQ stocks trade on some of the electronic trading networks. Just take a look quickly at some of these names. And these are companies that have issued buybacks. The SEC relaxing their rules on buying when a company can buy back stock, how much they can buy back. Today, dozens of companies doing that as a sign of confidence and hoping to lend some stability to the marketplace. Cisco Systems said it would buy back about $3 billion worth of its stock. Its stock is down sharply. Starbucks, the same story. It's going to buy back its stock. Its shares are off sharply. Intel also increasing its buyback program. It is down. Paula, back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Greg. Actually, let's continue our conversation so we can dip into the silence actually, this is the moment of silence, Greg. Let's pause. And there you have it, the end of the moment of silence that the NASDAQ just practiced. You saw the neon lights go dark on the facade of the building. Now they're back up. This similar scene will be repeated downtown at the New York Stock Exchange after the opening bells that will ring at 9:30. Lou Dobbs will join us on the floor of the exchange then. Let's go back to Greg right now to get a better sense of what folks are bracing for there. Have brokers eaten a really big breakfast to get through this day, Greg? I can't even imagine the amount of pressure they're feeling this morning.
Exactly, Paul, and I don't know if anything can prepare them for that. You know, speaking with some of the trading desks this morning, they said it's just an incredibly, obviously, an emotionally charged feel to the open this morning, and that is something that really unnerves a lot of folks when you talk about the markets. Emotional buying or selling really on one side of the coin or the other really is not something a lot of traders like to see, but that's what they're expecting this morning. Also, keep an eye on the volume. They're expecting today anywhere from 2 to 3 times the normal volume on the NASDAQ. It's an electronic trading systems. They have passed all the stress tests they conducted over the weekend, but still, that's going to be something to really watch today, especially in the first 10 to 15 minutes. So between 9:30, quarter of 10, maybe 10 o'clock, you're expected to see a real surge in volume. And again, the stocks that are expected to lead the downside is expected to see some selling early on. Some of the airline stocks, we've seen Northwest shares, which were back here on the board before. If we can look at those, they're down 35% right now, again, in the pre-open trading. One thing to point out about volume, the pre-open market, generally speaking, you don't get the big volume, but today we are seeing an incredible surge in volume in those stocks. Microsoft, for example, down about 6%, has already traded more than 1 million shares in the last 45, 50 minutes in what is usually a thinly traded market in the pre-open, Paula. So a lot of folks just kind of buckling in for the next couple of hours.
Those seatbelts on. Greg, for folks that don't follow this stuff as closely as you do, we mentioned that the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange are extremely competitive. What is the significance of the fact that the head of NASDAQ will be heading downtown right now in a show of solidarity to be on the floor at the open of the New York Stock Exchange?
Very symbolic, Paul. I mean, over the weekend and speaking with some of the folks at the various exchanges, there was a real feeling that the best way to kind of send a message of stability to the markets was through unity, and that's exactly what they're hoping to do. And that is significant to see Wick Simmons, who's the head of the NASDAQ, down at the NYSE. These are two rivals. Companies do change places back and forth here occasionally, so there is a real rivalry built up. And today, though, that all being put aside, kind of locking arms and hoping that the markets will, open on time, open normally, and have somewhat of a stable trading day.
All right, thanks so much, Greg. We'll be checking in with you a little bit later on this morning. Right now, Andy Serwer joins us. If you folks read Fortune magazine, you will see his pieces there, and he also has a website, or you do columns on the internet, right?
That's right.
Okay,
yep.
So people know who you are. You and I talked a little bit earlier on about the federal rate cut, the 0.5%. You've been on the phone talking to traders, talking to brokers. What are they saying?
Well, I've got to tell you, the anticipation is rising, the anxiety is rising. We're just a few minutes away. Everyone's laying down their bets, getting ready to go. Lou talked about tech stocks being lower, so did Greg. Airline stocks are down. The one that's trading, Northwest in pre-market trading, is down almost 40%. We have to remember, Paula, where the market was before this happened, and that is a weak market. The market was not doing very well. So the fact that things fall from here should not be that much of a surprise, because we had some weak numbers, some weak economic forecasts and indicators as this was happening and before it happened. So if the market goes down, it's not just the fact that we had this tragedy. The economy is not in great shape.
Some economists are saying this morning, some of whom were quoted in the Wall Street Journal this morning, you can't stave off a recession.
Yeah, and
are they overreacting?
No, I don't think they're not. I think it'll be difficult to stave off a recession. Let's remember, last quarter the economy grew 0.2%, which is to say barely at all. This quarter, even before this episode, the economy was barely growing. And look what happened here. Major parts of the economy have simply not been functioning for an entire week. The airlines, Wall Street, just those little incremental bits can move the economy into a negative growth mode. But having said that, I don't think people should be so concerned, because we may have been heading there anyway. And I just spoke with Michael Price, the big investor, and he said it's like Muhammad Ali getting punched in the gut in the first round. He got punched in the gut, but he's going to come back, because it's a long fight, and I think that's the way people should look at this.
It's a powerful analogy. As we speak, you're going to be competing with the image of the facade of the New York Stock Exchange, because we, of course, are just about 9 minutes away from the opening of the exchange. Yesterday, various administrative officials were put out who basically repeated the same message. Get prepared for a war that doesn't last days, doesn't last weeks, doesn't last months, but lasts years. If there is any kind of military action that is launched, historically, what will these already weakened markets end up doing?
Well, obviously it's not good news. And you know, it's so interesting. We're talking about a market response to this episode, this horrible attack that just happened. The response to that on Wall Street will be unknown. We're about to find out. Layered on top of that, and people aren't even discussing this, would be a military response. What kind of a military response? We don't even know. Will there be a widespread attack in the Middle East? That would be very bad news for the world economy. We could see oil shocks, and the damage could be much more severe.
Andy Serwer, if you'd stand by, I want to catch up with Lou Dobbs, who's on the floor. Here we are 8 minutes away from the opening bell. You, Lou, have described the amount of pressure these traders are under, but there's a tremendous amount of pent-up raw emotion there, too, about what kind of toll this tragedy has taken on this community. Tell us about that.
Paula, the emotion here is rising dramatically. Everybody is moving into position, and it's going to be very difficult. Dick Grasso, the chairman of the New York Exchange, if you can hear me, is addressing these four traders and specialists, joined by Senator Hillary Clinton, Senator Charles Schumer, Governor George Pataki, representatives of the New York Police Department, the New York Fire Department and Emergency Services. A very emotional reception as these traders welcomed them with an outrageous ovation as they assumed the balcony.
We're going to stay with the sound for a moment or two to give people a sense of appreciation of the show of solidarity here, because I don't know if we're going to be able to hear you.
Paula,
you can jump in here whenever you think you're not going to be drowned out.
Okay, Paula, if you can hear me, these traders are getting ready to do business, but a very defiant mood. If I can, just let me give you the setting for what is going to happen here. At 9:30, instead of simply the opening bell, the New York Exchange will observe 2 minutes of silence. 2 minutes of silence, and then Major Roseanne Scrignoli of the United States Marine Corps will sing God Bless America before trading actually opens at 9:33. If we can get the cameras to pan, and I would appreciate if you could pan over to the balcony where Dick Grasso is addressing the exchange and introducing those people who will help to open the bell. There we are. Now, Dick Grasso, who's done a remarkable job here of leading these people and leading the effort to restore the New York Exchange to
criminals who inflicted this heinous crime on America and all Americans, that they have lost. Our nation has come back together as we have in times past. Whether it be war or economic challenge, we are one country today, committed, unified in the pursuit to find and punish and obliterate those who committed that horrible act against this great nation. I want to thank so many people, so many agencies. This resumption of trading.
And we want to welcome our CNN FNN viewers now as we join the CNN coverage of Dick Grasso addressing his traders with a defiant talk about those who are responsible for these terrorist attacks.
Coming to New York and saying he hears, he experiences the pain, and those who took those buildings down will hear from us soon. Today, we are graced that we will, at our tradition at 9:30, pause to reflect for 2 minutes on those whom we've lost, on those who are still missing and God hope still alive, and certainly for all who were killed and injured in the Pentagon in Pennsylvania, those wonderful people on the plains. This is a moment of reflection. So at 9:30, we will single stroke and pause for 2 minutes. We will then be led in God Bless America by Major Roseanne Scrignoli of the United States Marine Corps, after which our heroes, representing the fabulous men and women who are crawling through the rubble as we speak, seeking survivors, representatives of the New York City Fire Department, Police Department, the emergency services and rescue teams, and the Port Authority Police. Our heroes who make today's resumption possible will ring this opening bell. And make no mistake about it, these wonderful men and women who put their lives on the line, all of the agencies, police, fire, emergency rescue, all of the varying neighboring police departments who are here, allow us to do what we do. This couldn't happen without their great guidance and help, and certainly their love and affection for this great country. Let us celebrate these wonderful men and women. Ladies and gentlemen, each of the wonderful public officials who are with me on the podium will join me on the trading floor, and I know you will join me in extending the traditional NYSE welcome, a hug, and a job well done. We wouldn't be here today without this fabulous partnership. Let us all pause in a moment for a reflection of 2 minutes, followed by Roseanne's singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains, through the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Oh, God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, our heroes will now open the marketplace. The green button.
And there you have it from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, the opening of the markets. A great deal of reference shown for the firefighters of New York City, the firefighters from all over the country that have come in here, and a defiant statement from the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange saying the U.S. will find, punish, and in his words, obliterate those responsible for these terrorist attacks, saying that the 2 minutes of silence were meant to reflect on those lost, those killed, those injured in New York, Pennsylvania, and New York, and those that might still be alive. And you can see the NASDAQ has a new look, worksite, a new look right now with the big words open across the front of the facade. It was an amazing group of people surrounding the chairman of the stock exchange this morning. Dick Grasso's flanked by the governor of New York, both Senators Hillary Clinton and Senator Chuck Schumer, as well as firefighters, police officers, and other folks involved in the massive effort to continue the rescue and cleanup operation. Let's go to Lou Dobbs right now for what he saw during the moment of silence and what he saw once the markets got open. Lou, can you hear me?
Yes, Paul, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me. It is not often at the New York, as a matter of fact, it has never happened in my experience, 2 decades here, that one could not hear the opening bell because of the thunderous applause. These traders, these specialists, giving the welcome that they deem appropriate to the representatives of both the fire and the police department here. And as those representatives rang the opening bell, it didn't take long to see what was in store for this market. The Dow is off 110 points already. Looking over at the NASDAQ, it's already fallen 109 points. Those are the lowest levels of the year already. We knew it would be a difficult open, and while it's much too early to judge, for the first few minutes of trading, we've been open now just a little better than 2 minutes. These are significant declines, and we see in almost every sector, whether it be financial, retailing, airlines, of course, we knew would be hard hit today, and they are being. We have a very weak open, and we'll just have to see what's going to occur throughout the morning here. But so far, we've seen no let up in the selling.
Lou, I guess it is fair to assume now that we've heard that very powerful rendition of God Bless America that most Americans will never hear that song the way they once did. You, I know, have talked with people who have shared with you the very conflicting emotions they're feeling today as they get back to work and try to keep these markets propped up.
Yes, there is, and I said this early this morning, I would hope that no one would decide to buy a stock in the belief that he or she could change the direction of this market. I understand the patriotic support, but the fact is that this market, what makes this such a powerful market is that it's a free market, an efficient market, and the basis of free market democracy in this country. Vote your heart, your pocketbook, but be a long-term investor as you should have been before, and I hope you will be after, and including today, because that's what makes this country and these markets work, moving in self-interest and moving decisively with your money that you want to invest in these markets. This is a strong, resilient economy and market. And no matter what happens here in the short term, in the next few hours or the next few days, this country is blessed with a very strong economy and the greatest democracy in the world.
Lou, earlier on you were reporting about the significance of the Fed's announcing a half-point rate cut, and you told me earlier you didn't think that would move the markets all that much. But what are traders telling you about their reaction to the half-point cut?
Their reaction is muted. In point of fact, they are now looking at a Fed funds rate of 3%, a discount rate of 2.5%. In any other environment, this would be wonderful. In point of fact, it is the 8th cut, the 3rd intermeeting rate cut this year. We see right now with the Dow Jones Industrials off 143 points, the NASDAQ Composite off 103 points at new lows. It's not having an appreciable effect. combined, however, with strong leadership, strong support for the president, a high consumer confidence going into the open of this market, these things will ultimately have a very positive effect. I'd like, if I may, to bring in Joe Grano, who is the CEO of UBS, Ping Weber, and Joe, good to see you. If I can ask you to step over here just a bit for our cameras. I know this is going to be a terribly difficult time for you. Give us your thoughts on this day.
Well, I couldn't be prouder to be an American and prouder to be part of this industry. The real heroes are east of Broadway, west of Broadway, and these gentlemen and ladies in this room sent a message to the free world that we're going to maintain a free market. And we are the center of that capital market, and it was imperative that we got open today.
And great credit has to be given to Dick Grasso and to this community for getting this market back in very short order.
Well, last week, all of the heads of the firms met, and there are a lot of unsung heroes in that regard, too. All of our employees that worked throughout the nights. I'd like to particularly signal the work that Verizon has done. Their crews have been going, and they've lost some people in this tragedy as well, and I couldn't be prouder of their efforts and the efforts of all the employees of the street.
As Joe Grano points out, what many people may not realize, the largest switching station for Verizon was located under 7 World Trade Center, which of course collapsed. The work that's been done here by Con Ed, Verizon, and all these firms is
they lost a switching center in the tower and on West Street that was impacted when 7 fell, and they have one on Broadway.
Give us your judgment about what you think is going to happen in these markets today.
Well, it's very hard to predict, but so far it would suggest that we're not seeing a panic sell, and markets are very efficient, as you know. I think that many Americans are going to maintain a calm, see what happens. I, for one, when I get back to my office, are buying securities in my own account.
Joe Grano, thank you very much. And for those of you, a lot of people may not know it, Joe Grano, one of our most decorated Special Forces officers. Joe, good to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Ken I just saw Ken Langone here just a moment ago, but he is apparently moved over. We have a number of the heads of brokerages here in the midst of all of this trading. As Joe Grano pointed out, while these markets are moving significantly lower, there is no, as he said, panic, but I don't think there's any way in the world we should underestimate the downside pressure here. As I look up on the ticker, the up volume, 5 million shares to this point, and again, we've only been open a matter of less than 10 minutes. And against that, a down volume of 40 million shares now, so just about 8-to-1 in terms of the down to up volume. It is a very difficult market right now. The tick is decidedly negative, but frankly, I will tell you, it's not as negative as one might expect. And with the NASDAQ composite here holding after less than 10 minutes at about 106 points lower, while that is, of course, a significant decline, it is certainly not as bad as many people, and in fact, a few of the people on this floor had led us to believe they expected. So we've got some pretty good order in this market right now, and by order, I don't mean that this market will necessarily move higher from these levels or that it will not fall further, but it is an orderly market, and importantly, the world's largest capitalized market, that is the New York Stock Exchange, with some $13 trillion in market cap, and the average daily trading level of about $45 billion is back in business. That is very good news for both this economy, irrespective of the direction this market takes, and of course, very good news for the global economy.
Lou, I think the picture around you might be deceiving to folks who aren't used to watching the kind of action that takes place on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, the constant blur of people whirling around you. This is normal, isn't it?
It is absolutely normal. It is, if you will, I would say just a little more, a little louder than normal. There's a little more activity. The fact is that we've got volume here after a few minutes of about 54 million shares now. There's a lot more conversation. Not all of it has to do, of course, with trading stocks. So there's just a little more activity, but bedlam is the nature here of the New York Exchange, as you know, Paul.
Of course, but given the volume of trading and the potential technical difficulties, I was surprised to hear that the chairman doesn't have any kind of contingency plan in place. They seem confident then that you're not going to have the same electrical problems that so many of the buildings in the surrounding area have had.
Well, Paula, as you were down here, I've been out near the World Trade Center area, walking around these blocks. What has been done here is nothing short of remarkable. But ringing this building, ringing the American Stock Exchange, are Con Ed generators, mobile generators that have been brought in. Frankly, they've done everything they possibly can to provide what support. And from here, there's just, after this devastation, there's no redundancy, and they're highly confident, certainly Dick Grasso is highly confident, that, that it's not going to be required.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, I give you 110 points for standing there without getting knocked over. That is, on a very good day, hard to not be knocked over by the constant activity.
Well, I think that there may be some there may be some mercy being shown just in the nature of the day. I've tried to stay out of the way, and they've tried to avoid me, and we have a very efficient market in that respect working as well.
Okay, Lou, thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Right now, I'm going to briefly check in with Andy Serwer of Fortune Magazine, and we're going to interrupt that and come back to a little bit later on with just your reaction to what Lou just said. The Open wasn't as bad as he had expected. CNN, FN folks are telling the same thing. Do you share their analysis?
I do. I'd like to echo what Lou said. You know, I was just thinking, Paula, that if I had been asleep for this entire week, and I wish I had in some sense, and just woke up today, and you had showed me those numbers, the Dow down 200, NASDAQ down 100, I would have just thought it would be another lousy day given what's been going on in our economy and the stock market over the past couple months.
Hey, look who's hanging out with Lou Dobbs now. I don't know if Lou's able to do an interview with the mayor. Lou, can you? Can you get a mic in the mayor's face there?
We're here with the distinguished mayor of New York, governor of the state, Charles Schumer, Senator Hillary Clinton, and they obviously in the balcony to open this market. Mayor, may I ask for your thoughts today?
Well, this is a day in which we all reaffirm our confidence in America. They tried to destroy us. They tried to destroy our economy. They took an attack right at the financial capital of America and the world, and we're back. We're going to deal with finding our people, helping them, rebuilding, and we're going to be stronger and better than we were before.
Governor, your thoughts?
This was not just an attack aimed at taking down two towers and killing thousands of people. It was an attempt to take away our spirit and our freedom and to cripple our economy. It hasn't worked. Our spirit has never been stronger. Our unity has never been greater. And now we're going to show the world that our economy is still the world's greatest, and it's going to grow, and America will come through this stronger.
I know that each of you has expressed in your way, his and her own way, your appreciation for what the federal government is doing in the way of support here. Give us an indication, if you would, Senator, what you expect to happen in terms of the use of that money in its earliest form.
Well, the way we designed it, and with President's help and Rudy and George on the phones working late at night, we'll have some flexibility with that money. We need it for all sorts of things. We need it to help reimburse the city and the state for the hours and hours of overtime that their workers have done so selflessly. We're going to need it to help rebuild. We have subway lines not working and close to 30 million square feet of office space that won't be usable. And then we're going to need it to bolster our industries, our insurance industry and some of the others that are really in trouble. This is a first installment, but the president, when we asked him to help us, didn't try to cut it in half, didn't try to say, well, come back later. He said, you asking me for $20 billion? You got it. And I think that says a lot about the unity of the country and what we can do. You know, we were the #1 financial market last Monday. We're the #1 financial market this Monday and forevermore. And again, thanks to this giant who did such a great job.
And one, I'm blocking this giant, Dick Grasso, Senator Schumer referring to Dick Grasso, the chairman of the New York Exchange, if I can get over here.
Well, Lou, we are so very proud of this public-private partnership. As you can see, we've united as Americans to send a message to the world. America's back in business, and if you bet against America, you're dead wrong. This, I think, totally embodies the American spirit. We've all dropped our traditions of right or left, Democrat or Republican. This is about America. This is about people, and we are so very proud of this wonderful team from the public, from the private sector. But let us not forget, Lou, that lives were lost terribly, terribly, tragically, and the one thing that we must never forget, we will go on economically to rebuild this city, to rebuild the spirit of this nation, and we'll do it in the memory of those wonderful people who are not with us today.
Senator Clinton, I know that you have toured the devastation that was the World Trade Center. You have watched this market open. You have watched this market in the course of less than 20 minutes lose about 250 points. Your thoughts? Yeah.
Well, Lou, I'm just proud that we're open today. We're open for business, and I'm grateful that America and the world is supporting us. Now, clearly, we've got some tough waters ahead. Nobody would tell you any differently. But I am absolutely confident. You know, the strength of the American economy today is just as strong as it was last Monday. Our fundamentals are very vigorous. We're dynamic. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to go forward. And it's important that people invest and buy and spend, because we need to send a clear message to the people who did this that they have not in any way affected our way of life or our values. We also have to get our economy moving, because we have a lot of work to do here. We were grateful for the $20 billion, but it's going to take a lot of money to rebuild New York, and I'm grateful that America is supporting us.
Senator Clinton, thank you very much. I want to thank all of you gentlemen for your taking time to share your thoughts with our CNN viewers around the world, and also maybe inappropriately so, thank you personally for your leadership. Outstanding, in my compliments, and great respect. Thank you. I would like to, if I may, reach across. Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill is here. Secretary, it's good to see you. You have got to be very proud that this market, some $13 trillion in capitalization, by far the world's largest, dwarfing all others, is open.
I'm really excited about what's going on here today, with everyone coming together and demonstrating America's resiliency. I think both as a people and as an economy. Market's bouncing around a little bit right now. That wasn't unexpected. But we will persevere and we will prevail, Lou.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I'm looking up there and I see the NASDAQ, as you say, bouncing around, but it is backed off what were earlier lows. We're making a great deal of analysis out of about 20 minutes of trading, but I hope you'll forgive me for doing that. What do you expect to happen today?
I don't know. You know, this is an unexampled event in our lifetime, and I don't think we can predict today, but I think we can be sure and have a lot of confidence that you will see these indexes go back up, and we will set new records in the not-too-distant future. Our economy was beginning to rebound before this event, and we will rebound, and we will do well.
Secretary of the Treasury, Paul O'Neill, with very encouraging and reassuring words, and I think all of us are hoping that you're a terrific forecaster as well, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, Luke, Paul and I were saying earlier that if we didn't have blind trust, we'd be buying.
Right.
Well, those of us who don't can take a cue then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, you're allowed to do this just once. Thumbs up.
Okay. Two hands.
Well, I've got to go to...
And there you have it, a giant thumbs up from Lou Dobbs, flanked by Treasury Secretary O'Neill, Senator Clinton, Senator Schumer, Mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, the Governor of New York City, Pataki, all urging Americans to have faith in this economy and to be optimistic about what these volatile markets might yield. The mayor saying that at least New York is stronger than ever before. Governor Pataki saying that the unity has never been greater in this state and across the nation. Senator Schumer giving President Bush a great deal of credit for not only giving The state of New York and the other areas hard hit, Pennsylvania and Washington, $20 billion, but in fact $20 billion more than Senator Schumer and Clinton asked for. Senator Clinton saying that she's proud that the United States is getting back to business this morning, but if you want to continue to prop up the economy, that Americans must invest, they must buy and spend. And then making a pretty funny joke about if her assets were not tied up in a blind trust right now, perhaps she would be doing some buying this morning. Andy Serwer here to provide his perspective on what we just heard. Lou was standing in the right spot this morning, wasn't he?
Yeah, they just are attracted to Lou, I guess, and that's terrific that he got comments from all those people. Have you ever seen so many people so excited about a market down 270 points? That's what struck me, but the point, of course, is that we're working, we're operational, we're back in business. I want to temper things a little bit, Paula, and remind people we're only a half an hour into trading. We've got a long way to go till 4 o'clock. And the other point I'd like to make is just to sort of put this in perspective about how momentous this day truly is, and to understand that people, business leaders, investors from around the world, China, Europe, the Middle East, are all watching the New York Stock Exchange and the U.S. markets to see what's happening right now. So it truly is remarkable.
I was struck by something Secretary Paul O'Neill just said when Lou Dobbs was able to corner him. I guess it's sort of hard to get out of that area of the exchange right now. He basically said you can't predict where the U.S. economy is going, but his prediction is, quote, "We will set records in the not-too-distant future." Is he overly optimistic, or does he have reason to believe that is the case?
Well, he may be doing a little jawboning. After all, he is an administration official. But, you know, there's some indications, if you look historically, what happens during calamities, catastrophes. The market takes a hit, and then we come back strong 6 months later. If you look at the Cuban Missile Crisis, if you look at the wars and, you know, Eisenhower's heart attack, there are all these moments in time where the market bounces back. In fact, we were speaking with Arthur Levitt, the former SEC commissioner, and he suggested that this may exacerbate things to the downside, but then we may pick up even more because we're going to need all this spending to rebuild our economy, to rebuild our infrastructure, and that could actually stimulate the economy and get us back out of this downturn even faster and even higher.
The chairman of the New York Stock Exchange perhaps had the most defiant words all day long. You can almost feel the personal toll this has taken on him at his time where he's trying to restore faith in what he has got to do today. I was surprised that no one mentioned the half-point rate cut. Are you, or do you agree with Lou Dobbs that it's not going to move the markets all that much today?
Well, you know, I think it has helped the market. You really can't say. I mean, if they hadn't done the rate cut, would the market be down 500 points here? So there's sort of no control to the experiment, if you will. It probably did have some impact in terms of helping the market psychologically, showing traders, showing investors that the Fed is there on their side, ready to make a preemptive strike, which in a sense is what that was. So I think it did have an impact, but I think Lou is right in that, you know, we've seen 8 of them now, and it's just another rate cut, but it was a very important one, unexpected, and it gave the market a shot in the arm, I think, before the open.
I don't know if we can revisit the shot now of Lou being flanked by all these leaders, world leaders, state leaders, surrounded by senators, the governor of the state, the mayor of the state. Tell us a little bit about the psychology of what happened there and the impact it might have. They all obviously had positive messages today.
It certainly has brought together an incredible nonpartisan group of people. I was speaking with Senator Schumer a couple of days ago, and you know, when something like this happens, people do band together, Republicans, Democrats. The CEOs of the major Wall Street firms have been working in concert. It really is a tremendous show of strength and unity, but that's absolutely necessary, Paula. You have to come together. I mean, the effort that has been made to bring us back so that we're trading this morning is truly monumental, and it was absolutely necessary for all these people to throw aside their differences and get to work together.
As we continue to talk, I wanted to point out for those of you who probably have better eyesight than I do, throughout the day you will see that Dow and NASDAQ bug to keep you apprised of where the market is going. The Dow now down 470 points.
Yeah.
It changes every second. At what point would the market action be suspended today? What would be the point drop at which that would happen,
collars,
if that
well,
happens?
The percent change, I think, would be over 5% at this point. So we're a ways away from that.
I'm not saying that's going to happen,
right.
of course, but just for people to keep an eye on this during the day.
I think they should, and that's about where they would come in. Now, you have to understand there's so much computer trading these days. A lot of times, drop percentage changes, especially versus Treasury bonds or the Nikkei, other indices, sets off buying and selling strategies. This is exactly what we expected, Paula. Volatile trading and the market down. This is just what we thought was going to happen.
We obviously had to focus on the opening of the New York Stock Exchange, but I think a lot of individual investors out there are wondering what happens if I had a broker that worked in that building, or the company's gone. Where's the paperwork? How am I going to do business?
Yeah,
How many people do you think are caught in that limbo?
Well, I think there are a lot of investors who whose paperwork was blown on to kingdom come, if you will.